What another great episode of the Andor series. Episode 4 was a whole lot of build-up and world building, but the anticipation for episode 5 is grandiose. I can't wait for episode 5 because it seems to be heading to a direct conflict with an Imperial garrison. What's up, folks? Bessie here from Star Wars Comics, and I hope you're enjoying the Andor series as much as I am. As much as people weren't hyped for this series, it seems to be one of the greatest Star Wars materials out there, even if you are a fan of Legends, which this particular episode gave high praise to. Whether you're a fan of canon or Legends, you cannot deny what we saw in this episode. A lot of artifacts, especially from Luthan's store, and some tidbits here and there that praise the Legends KOTOR material very, very much, and we're going to explain everything in detail. Of course, by the 3 episodes we left off earlier, we know that Luthan went on to recruit Cassian Andor to his side. What side? Well, Cassian still has no particular idea, although he now understands what's going on. This was a gruff and rough Obi-Wan and Han Solo meetup, basically, with Luthan being Obi-Wan, of course, and Cassian being Han Solo. So much so that we even learn at the beginning of the episode that Cassian was on the Battle of Mimban as well, serving the Empire. And the timeline itself kind of alludes to the fact that Cassian Andor and Han Solo were on Mimban at the same time. Luthan, in order to convince Cassian Andor to come to his aid, recruits him for money, of course, and that's why I say that his arc is much more in line with Han Solo, because in A New Hope, Han Solo joins for the money and then stays for the glory of the rebellion and for the destruction of the Empire. Essentially, that's the arc they're going for. We know that by Rogue One, Cassian Andor is a devoted rebel fighter, but right now we see him just trying to escape, and Luthan knows this. That's why he offers him 200,000 credits for his services. As a down payment, he gives him a Kyber crystal from the Rakatan invasion. Now, why this is very, very important is because this is in direct reference to the Infinite Empire, which took hold of the galaxy some 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. I'm going to leave the details of the Rakatan Empire for another video, of course. I want to dive more deeply into this, but essentially this mention kind of signifies the canonization of the Rakata Empire and more hints at the Knights of the Old Republic lore, which is very important. Back in The Rise of Skywalker, we got hints of Darth Revan. Now we're getting Rakata mentions directly. We have seen some artifacts as well, more specifically Dryden Voss had a Rakatan artifact in his office. There's been hints, but not a direct mention. This is a huge leap forward for those who are fans of the Knights of the Old Republic lore or era. This kind of solidifies everything. More and more, guys, we're moving towards a Knights of the Old Republic being canon, and that period being explored more and more. At least that's what I think. That's what the future holds. And that time period and this time period will somehow be connected in future series and future material. This series is called Andor. However, this episode did not have much to do with Cassian Andor. They landed on a primitive planet, and it seems that this is where the action is going to take place in episode 5. Cassian, together with 6 others, what is being dubbed Andor's 7, are going to invade an Imperial base and essentially hijack a quarterly pay for the entire sector, which means a hefty sum of money, credits, whatever you want to call it. And reluctantly, all the guys take Cassian to their own care, heal him, feed him, and now he is an integral part of their plan to attack the Empire. I found it very gratifying to see the use of the TIE Fighters. By now we know that the TIE Fighters are basically considered fast food, something to see on the screen. You know, it's the Empire. It's great, but this wasn't for the masses. The tension that we felt when the 2 TIE Fighters made their patrol was electrifying. It signified a very, very important moment in Star Wars, that if somebody who knows how to write a series and knows what he's doing, he can do a lot even with TIE Fighters. But beyond that, what I wanted to focus on in today's review is, of course, Coruscant, Luthan, Mon Mothma, Everything was on display in this episode. The beautiful thing about this series, if you haven't caught it by now, everything is sets. There's very little CG. That establishing shot of Coruscant from above, that was something that we haven't seen very much, if never, in Star Wars. It was pretty beautiful, and it really showed the magnitude of the city. When Luthan arrives, we immediately understand his double life. He seems like a rough, serious old man when talking to Andor, but the moment he arrives on Coruscant, he puts on a wig, he puts on his garb, his rings, and starts postulating as a fake happy salesman. Not long after, we see Mon Mothma arrive at his store. He seems to be an antiquities dealer, an art dealer more so. This is why the writing is perfect. You see, this makes the perfect cover for Luthan, because he is embroiled in all of these cultures, all of these artifacts, which means that a lot of money is exchanging hands. This is how he can make excuses for the Empire if they take him into questioning. Why did he travel to this place or another? Why was he seen with this person? He could simply, a very sound reason that he was searching out for a new artifact that was discovered. And what can we say about the store? There were so many artifacts and things that we can mention, more specifically being a pseudo Jango Fett armor, Mandalorian armor that was seen as well. We got a mention of Utapau as well, but the most interesting one was this armor behind Luthan. The helmet, more specifically, seems to match the exact description or design of Starkiller when he becomes a Sith. I think this was a direct reference to Galen Marek, or should I say Starkiller. And what is even more shocking, not that I'm saying it is canon, that Starkiller is canon, but do you realize that this is the exact timeline that happened in Legends, where Starkiller kind of started the rebellion in the end? I mean, the timeline coincides perfectly, and this could actually be Starkiller's abandoned armor. It's kind of crazy to think about, but nothing has been confirmed. That armor was not even mentioned. I'm just throwing it out there. Of course, Mon Mothma is actually living in the Wolf's Den. Even when speaking to Luthan, she needs to speak to him in secret, because her driver is a spy. Everybody is a spy according to Mon Mothma. She is extremely paranoid, and very much justified, because when she goes home, and it was a lavish, beautiful home, I might add, again, the stages, the sets were not CGI in the slightest, her husband informs her that Sly Moore, none other than the supposed lover of Palpatine, at least in Legends, will be coming to dinner. And of course, Sly Moore, Palpatine, Grand Vizier Mas Amedda, all these people hate Mon Mothma because she has always opposed them, even back in the day when Palpatine was just a greedy chancellor that had all the emergency powers, as we see by the deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. It was very funny to see Cecil Karn go back to living with his mother, and we immediately understand that he hasn't visited her in a while, since she first slaps him when she first sees him, then hugs him. But this is what I mean with this series. Even in Coruscant, it was always portrayed as this great place or just the urban areas. We see the living complexes. We see how people actually live, the buildings and the insides of them. It is very much world building with the Andor series, and I love that. And just like his chief sector told him, the Empire meddled their nose and now are completely suspending the operation of the Morlana system. They are taking charge now. This was a direct order from Blevin. And again, if we're talking world building, I mean, on Coruscant, we saw the ISB building and the insides of it. Partagaz, Blevin, Dedra, and their bureaucracy, their infighting. That ISB set alone was something to behold. It was beautiful but empty at the same time. Same as how the Empire tries to portray this white, glowing, working for security nature, and yet it is devoid of spirit inside. Just a fantastic and beautiful episode in general. In the ISB building, in the ISB briefing, of course, we got a mention of Ryloth. Hazium Prime was also a mention in the airport scene. It was just a beautiful episode that I completely fell in love with. I loved every single aspect of this, and I can't wait for episode 5, because in episode 5 there's going to be huge action, that's for sure. That's all I wanted to cover in short, but be sure that we will cover more things in detail, everything that I missed, as the week goes on. Till the next episode, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.